welcome back. We've got the business buzz today. Plenty going on right now. Right now, 9 News business expert Frazier is joining us to break it all down today, Ryan.
Gosh, so much going on. We've talked about the Kroenkes changing it up and developing the land around Ball Arena. Some of that includes a new pedestrian bridge and a new performance venue. But now, our partners at the Denver Business Journal have learned that Ball Arena itself could be getting an expansion. Kroenke Sports Entertainment, also known as KSE, submitted a formal site development plan, but it only has a label as Arena Expansion. The vice president of business operations for Kroenke told the Denver Business Journal they don't have specifics yet, but we know NBA athletes who've played in Denver have said the practice court and other training areas inside are not up to par. Earlier this month, Bank of America found that 1 in 4 American households are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, a new survey of Coloradans showed nearly a third are struggling to afford basic necessities like housing, food, and health care. Renters are getting hit the hardest. The 2025 Colorado Health Access Survey found 11% of Coloradans had trouble paying their rent or mortgage this year. But 48% of renters report affordability problems compared to just 27% of homeowners. Here in Denver, eviction filings tell a similar story. The Denver metro area has seen just under 14,000 eviction filings so far this year, slightly down from last year's 16,000, but still drastically higher than pre-pandemic levels. The survey also found that 1 in 10 of Coloradans report they didn't have enough to eat. CNBC reports sellers are taking their homes off the market at the fastest pace in nearly a decade. Real estate company Redfin found that close to 85,000 U.S. sellers took their homes off the market in September. That's up 28% from the year before. Redfin found that 70% of the listings had been on the market for 60 days or longer. Also, 15% of them were close to selling at a loss. Zillow finds that prices are typically being cut $10,000 before selling. And last week, Americans paid more for their Thanksgiving turkeys than they have in a while. Wholesale turkey prices were as much as 75% higher than last year. Customers paid at least 25% more for a typical 15-pound bird. The American Farm Bureau Federation says the U.S. turkey flock fell to its smallest size in nearly 40 years thanks to avian flu outbreaks and peak demand for turkey meat. Still, several retailers competed to have the cheapest Thanksgiving dinner bundle for customers. I hope your bird was cheap, or at least affordable, Lauren.
You know, I recommended to my family that we forget the bird this year and we do Steaksgiving instead. They didn't like that idea. They like tradition, so we went with the classic Thanksgiving turkey. But I hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the bird was affordable. It was good, at least.
Yeah, hey, that's all that matters, right? Sometimes. All right, we've got a lot happening in the business world, like we kind of broke down, but we've got some other headlines that we're getting into today.
Yeah, you know, HP says it expects to cut between 4,000 and 6,000 jobs globally by 2028. Company leaders want to ramp up AI efforts to speed up product development, improve customer satisfaction, and boost productivity. Lauren, be honest. When you hear about this AI revolution in the workplace, does it make you excited for efficiency and creativity, or a little nervous about how jobs are changing?
I've got a lot of different thoughts on this. I think, you know, one aspect of it is that you got to keep up or you get left behind. So you kind of just got to stay with it. But even at the grocery store, kind of similar but different, I don't even like to go to the self-checkout. I like to give the people a job, right? That's what they're there to do. So I want to see those people keep their jobs. So I hate to hear about this. But at the same time, I think that's just the reality, Ryan. What do you think?
You know, it's a big question right now. This move by HP is part of their AI pivot. So it's not just about cutting costs, it's about restructuring. HP is betting that AI is going to make them faster, but for workers, the message is clear. The skills that got you hired 5 years ago might not be the skills that keep you employed 5 years from now. So upskilling is a huge important part of job security. And I tell you, you know, I think there's a lot of anxiety about what's happening in the workplace. This is but the latest example. We're seeing headline after headline of different employers reducing job count due to AI changes. So the real question is, how do we adapt? Where do the jobs of the future come from? Where are folks, you know, ultimately be able to provide for themselves and their families? And so as we see more of these headlines come out, I think that public pressure on, you know, how we do business, how we shop, is really going to become a bigger and bigger issue for more Coloradans, more Americans.
For sure. Something that I think about personally is what skills do I have that AI can't teach or can't help you with, right? You can't teach passion, you can't teach hard work, you can't teach discipline, that kind of stuff. So I'm definitely focusing on that stuff as, we consider AI coming into the picture a little bit
Critical
more.
thinking,
right?
right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of skills that AI can't teach, and I think there's this idea that hopefully you can humanize a lot of this stuff so that you don't just leave people out as the world we live in continues to change.
Right, right. We want to get into some other news, Ryan. We're also hearing that Excel wants to raise our rates. What's going on here?
Yes, according to our partners at the Denver Business Journal, Excel Energy is requesting to add nearly $356 million to its rate base. That would be a nearly 10% residential rate hike in Colorado. Lauren, looking at your own utility bill, gas, electric, is a 10% hike something your budget is ready to absorb right now?
Well, I can't believe how expensive it is to begin with. I get my bill every month and I'm like, holy smokes. But I think that just means that if this happens, then other places are going to have to sacrifice. Maybe I don't get to do as much shopping as I would like to or splurge on things that I normally would because of this.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of folks are having that same debate. Like, I'd rather be spending that money somewhere else, if not saving it. But, this is the tension that I think that we're dealing with in society right now. Excel argues that the money is necessary to modernize the grid and to mitigate wildfires, which we know there is a need for. But a 10% hike hits households hard when rent and food is already up. Now, the Public Utilities Commission of Colorado will have the final say, so it's not done deal yet. But we are heading into a real debate about this cost of energy transition, so moving to lower cost, lower carbon type energies versus the cost of living, which is also kind of at play here. It's a real conflict. One of the things I found that's really interesting is the spike in power demand forecast by Excel is mostly driven by data centers, going back to the AI conversation. Yep. Excel estimates that new data centers were 62% of the projected demand growth in Colorado areas, which is really fascinating. So there's a question, right? Some people might say, well, why don't the data centers pay the increased hike and leave my utility bill alone? And I certainly expect that Excel has an answer for that. But, I think it also says a lot about the connectivity between these energy price increases and what's happening in AI, back to the HP conversation as well.
Well, and I think you have to look at the bigger picture here too. You hear 10%, okay, that's $1 for every 10. But when everything else is going up 10% too, that really adds up. When your groceries are going up 10%, rent's going, everything's going up, right?
Yeah, and this whole conversation that's being had around affordability, it's a really tough one for a lot of folks. Again, Excel's making the case that they need it. They got to pay for a lot of infrastructure. How do they do that? That's ratepayers. Right. That said, it hurts right now because the cost of everything is just up.
To wrap it all up, Ryan, what do we have coming up at 11 o'clock?
So the Business Buzz will be back at 11 a.m. You got to tune in because we're going to have a very interesting guest. We're going to be joined by Justin Everett, the Regional Administrator of the Small Business Administration, to help us break down what happened this past Saturday with Colorado Small Business Saturday, and also what the 2026 year looks like ahead.
All right, sounds good. Hopefully all that snow that we got on Saturday didn't impact Small Business Saturday too much. Ryan, thank you so much. We'll be right back.